This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 421, 5 Things to Remember When Someone You Love Loses Someone They Love, part 2, by Marc Chernoff of marcandangel.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Saturday and welcome back, or welcome for the first time. This is where I read to you every single day to help you live a more meaningful life, covering personal development, productivity, and minimalism mostly, from some of the best bloggers and authors you can find, and with their permission, of course. And today's a continuation from yesterday. The article is on the longer side, so I broke it up into 2. So if you're new here, I recommend listening to yesterday's episode first. That's episode 420. And that's it for now. Let's continue that post and keep optimizing your life. 5 Things to Remember When Someone You Love Loses Someone They Love, part 2, by Marc Chernoff of marcandangel.com. Number 3. The grieving process exhausts and consumes a person, which is why you can't take their withdrawn behavior personally. Relentless exhaustion is a common side effect of grief. Just getting out of bed in the morning can be an overwhelming and excruciating experience for a while. Also, someone suffering from grief may feel okay one moment and feel completely heartbroken the next, even if the environment around them hasn't changed one bit. This can result in them canceling plans, departing get-togethers early, or saying no far more often than you'd like. Just remember, it's not about you. It has nothing to do with what you did or didn't do. These are just some of the prevalent side effects working through the grieving process. Do your best to not take anything they do too personally. People can only give to others what they have, and deep grief takes almost everything away from a person. All your actions and words should come from a place of love, but that doesn't mean your grieving loved one will always be loving in return, and that's okay. When you do not take things personally, you liberate yourself. You open yourself to loving someone who truly needs you generously and without letting needless expectations get in the way of the immeasurable amounts of support and affection you are capable of giving. Angel and I discuss this in more detail in the relationships chapter of 1,000 Little Things Happy, Successful People Do Differently. Number 4, a person who's grieving still wants to smile about the good times, and it's okay to help them reminisce. In the long run, grief can devour us, or it can enlighten us. It depends on what we focus on. We can decide that a relationship was all for nothing if it had to end earlier than we expected, or we can recognize that every single moment of it had more meaning than we dared to accept at the time. So much meaning it frightened us, so we just lived, just took for granted the time spent together every day, and didn't allow ourselves to consider the sacredness of it. When a wonderful relationship ends abruptly, we suddenly see what was there all along. It wasn't just a hug and a smile, not just a long walk together. Not just meeting for lunch and talking about politics, people, and another day at work. It was everything, all the little intricacies of life shared by two souls. The answer to the mystery of living is the love and respect we share sometimes so imperfectly. And when the loss awakens us to the deeper beauty of it, to the sanctity of a wonderful relationship that's been lost, we're driven to our knees. When this happens to someone you love, when they are mounting the loss of someone they love, help them focus on all those good, imperfect times worth smiling about. Help them counterbalance the weight of their loss with the weight of their gratitude for what preceded the loss. Number 5, grief can be a burden, but also a healthy anchor for healing and living well. As human beings, we sometimes get used to the weight of grief and how it holds us in place. For instance, Angel once told me, "My brother will die over and over again for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. It keeps me closer to him." This was Angel's way of reminding me that grief doesn't disappear. Step by step, breath by breath, it becomes a part of us, and it can become a healthy part of us too. Although we may never completely stop grieving simply because we never stop loving the ones we've lost, we can effectively leverage our love for them in the present. We can love them and emulate them by living with their magnificence as our daily inspiration. By doing this, they live on in the warmth of our broken hearts that don't fully heal back up, and we will continue to grow and experience life even with our wounds. It's like badly breaking an ankle that never heals perfectly and that still hurts when you dance, but you dance anyway with a slight limp, and this limp just adds to the depth of your performance and the authenticity of your character. Just knowing this and keeping it in mind, I think, can help us help our grieving loved ones dance again gradually. Angel and I build gradual grief healing rituals with our students in the pain and hardship module of Getting Back to Happy. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled 5 Things to Remember When Someone You Love Loses Someone They Love by Marc Chernoff of marcandangel.com. And you can check out that course that was mentioned right there at the end of the post on their website. And it's Saturday, so I'll keep this ending nice and short, but if you're not checking out the other podcasts in my little network, please do. They're very similar to this show, except that I don't host them. Well, I actually do co-host Optimal Startup Daily, but I have a different narrator for the other shows, including my brother who hosts Optimal Health Daily. He reads from many of the same authors that I read right here, and then Dan from Optimal Finance Daily reads all about saving money and retiring early, again from many of the same authors I read right here, so it's not too technical or anything. It's great content on all 4 podcasts in my opinion. I pick all the content, so if you like this show, you'll like those ones too. Just search for Optimal Living Daily wherever you're hearing this show, and all 4 podcasts should pop up. And that's it for today. Hope you're having a great weekend, and thank you for being here. I'll see you in tomorrow's show, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.